What's going on, Gridiron fans? This is Coach T here, another episode of Gladiator Vibes TV. Got news you can use, man. Today I got Shan here with me. Shan, please tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hello. So my name is Chandra Mina, and of course I'm here today to speak with Coach T about mental health and how the gym plays a part in our wellness and things of that nature. So as a career, I am a licensed mental health therapist. I've been working in this field for quite a while. My main population is from about 12 to 18 or so, but I have a little bit of experience of working with adults as well. And so I'm here today to shed a little light on it.
So I think, you know, amongst our community, this is something that is very serious. Why is there a negative connotation with going to seek counseling?
Okay, so when thinking about your question, I think a lot of things come up. One thing in particular, and I know your audience isn't just African American,
right?
However, but I do want to speak from that perspective today. Growing up, we are always taught that we ought to be strong. God will take care of it. Spirituality and religion are a major part of our backgrounds. And so sometimes going to see a therapist or actually seeking out a therapist is seen as a sign of weakness. And that's just something that we don't often do. So to think about that plays a factor as well. But also a lack of resources, because we all know to seek out a counselor, to seek out a therapist, you're going to either have to have insurance, co-pay, and if you don't have access to that, then you're looking at coming out of pocket for the cost, and it can be expensive sometimes. So a lack of accessibility in our communities is something. It's seen as something that's not reachable. Like, oh, go see a therapist. That's going to cost a lot of money. But there are different options out there for us, and so I think that's something that kind of plays a part in how we view seeking out therapy.
So we're looking at financial obligations. It could be from that aspect.
Yes.
And then we're looking at from a religious standpoint.
Yes.
And what do you say to those people who say, I don't want to go to a therapist, I don't want to go to a shrink, I don't want anyone to think I'm crazy?
Yes. So we have to change as a society. We have to change the way we view mental health and therapy, because it doesn't necessarily mean, for so long we've thought like, people with mental health diagnosis are out on the streets or living out on the corner where they're balled up and they're talking to themselves, but it doesn't always look that way. So we have to be careful about what our perspective of it is right now. Mental health diagnoses come in many different forms. And so we just have to open our minds up to what it may be. We may be affected by it and not be able to feel comfortable enough to reach out. But it doesn't mean that you're crazy if you seek a therapist. Actually, therapists are there when things are going well. Right. If you want to see how to continue doing well on your path that you're on, whether it be marriage or your mental health status or whatever the case may be, then therapists are for that purpose as well.
Gotcha.
Did I answer your question?
I think you did. I'm sitting here because this is impromptu, this is candid. Yes. So, I mean, as it comes, I want to ask questions that our viewers will want to hear about, you know? And I think what's over dramatized in this field is the manic episodes. Yes. That's what's making people say, I'm not crazy, I don't want to be labeled. But everyone is not gonna have a manic episode. And I'm sorry, you guys, if I use terms that you may not have heard before, because I do actually have a background in counseling as well. I have a master's in social work. So me and Shan, we may get off on a tangent, but I'll try to bring it back to where you all can understand it. Right. But I think that's what's over dramatized is the manic episodes. And everyone is not going to experience that, but you may need help with learning how to communicate effectively. Yes. You may need help with just talking to someone stress relief. You know, just
and like with,
communicate.
And a lot of times I come in contact with younger children who find it hard to communicate with their parents.
Right.
You know, sometimes teens feel like, well, my parent doesn't understand me, and sometimes there's that gap between, well, Mom, you don't know what's hip and what's going on right now. And then, you know, sometimes we, as parents, we want to parent the way that we were parented, but times change and things change, and so we have to realize that sometimes therapy is about helping a child and their parents learn to communicate better, to understand each other. So it doesn't always, like you said, come with a manic episode. It could be high functioning anxiety.
Right.
And you could be going through your everyday life, working, getting up, taking care of your tasks, you know, taking care of everyone else, and you could be struggling with high functioning anxiety. So,
and you really not even know it until you hit a panic attack or something like that nature. You never know how it's gonna show itself.
Yes. Or not be able to perform on your job well because you're struggling with that. So.
Right. I think I posted something the other day. Stress will kill you just as fast as a bullet.
Yes.
So we need to be sure that we're seeking these things, these tools that can help us be able to live more higher functioning lives.
Yes.
Healthier lives.
Mm-hmm.
So let's define, what is mental illness?
Well, I kind of like to take a spin on that term because illness kind of looks at things from the negative side. When you think of being ill, you think of, you know, being in a hospital or needing something. So I like to use a term, and I'm not saying that this is politically correct or anything like that, but I like to use the term mental wellness or mental health.
Right.
So looking at the status of your mental health or how well is your mental. But in essence, you're looking at the word mental, which means your mind, and looking at the health of it is, you know, am I doing okay right now? Do I need to see a therapist? Do I need to go see a psychiatrist, you know, a doctor? Is it time to take the option of medicine or, you know, whatever the case may be? But when you look at that, it's going to be any condition that affects your thoughts, your behavior, and your mood. And so I want to say that everything is going to fit in that category when you look at diagnosing. So it's going to be anything that's going to affect your mood, your thoughts, or your behavior when we look at mental illness.
And for my people out there who don't understand the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist, let's just touch briefly on that so you understand, because you know you talked about the medicine and you talked about let's separate the two so that they understand the paradigm between each one.
Okay, so a psychiatrist is going to be, in essence, a medical doctor.
Right.
They've gone to med school, and they are able to do the diagnosis of medication.
Right.
A psychologist is someone that, you know, went to college, got the degrees and everything, the knowledge and skills needed in order to either conduct therapy. They can do diagnosing as well, but I want to say the main difference is going to be being able to prescribe medication or not. A psychiatrist can, but a psychologist can't.
Right.
And so that's going to be the main difference.
And the psychologist would more so function in the capacity of what?
Dealing on the behavior side of things. So the psychologist and a therapist are going to, you know, be different in essence because they study different areas of the mind. But a psychologist is going to do more of the therapeutic side of things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we just want to give you all a brief overview. We're not trying to give you a lesson on it and get you a degree in it tonight.
Right.
But we definitely want you to be able to understand. Yeah, it's a lot. It encompasses a lot. I mean, this is not just just something you can just touch on lightly. This is a serious issue that plagues us, you know.
It does.
And we have a negative connotation, and and I think that the misinformation that we have, the views that social media puts out, it puts us in a situation where we don't want to seek help, or we feel ashamed.
Mm-hmm. Or we feel weak.
Right.
Or like we're giving up or something like that. But you have to just change the way you look at things, because the old saying goes, if you always do what you've been doing, you're going to get what you always been getting.
Right.
And so if you've always gotten really stressed out and you cursed everybody out and, you know, beat the children all day because you're stressed. You know, you have that misplaced anger. Then you're gonna keep getting that same result.
And what do you think is gonna happen to those kids? We're perpetuating the cycle. You know, essentially. Yes. So we have to seek ways to make better choices and do better, to live a better, healthier lifestyle. And one other thing that you touched on, let me see if I can remember what it was. Gosh, I mean, that was good. What was it?
Let's say, you know, if we keep talking, we'll get back to it.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to it. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It was right there. But anyway.
It's okay.
Is it hereditary? Do you think some mental issues are hereditary?
Well, I don't know if you remember maybe your first day in a psychology class in college, we talked about the argument of nature versus nurture.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that scientists have long argued over. Now, just in doing some research, I have found that some things are genetic. And so just take depression, for example.
That's what I'm talking about.
There we go. Full circle. So there have been cases where, for example, say a mother is dealing with depression, a father is dealing with depression in a home, and they're raising a young child. And due to, you know, some of the things that come with depression, sometimes it's not feeling like being surrounded by family, not doing the things that you enjoy, not wanting to get out of bed, just, you know, different things like that. Then you have a child who sees that same behavior and take on that, because children watch us, take on that same type of behavior and may end up having to be the parent instead of the child. So I think things like that can affect a child. When you look at genetics, some studies have shown that bipolar is passed down, ADHD has been passed down, but just not 100%. So I wouldn't necessarily tell a child, yeah, your parents have ADHD, you probably don't have it too. It's not that for certain that will happen, but there have been studies to show that, you know, yes, it does happen, and sometimes it doesn't happen. But that old nature versus nurture argument is always something that comes up in psychology courses.
Exactly. Exactly. And what I was going to talk about earlier, you know, when I lost my train of thought was, you know, with the negative connotation about seeking help. One of the things that I learned when I was in my studies was that, you know, when you have a secret, that thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you knowing that you need help. Yeah. You knowing that there's something that's bothering you. And then you look at the increased rate in suicide and are hurting someone else, harming someone else.
Yes.
Why do you think those things happen? Because they weren't able to seek help. They didn't feel like they had a voice. So if you're dealing with something out there, you definitely need to seek counsel or speak to a trusted loved one, you know, that is of a position that can provide that help or help you seek help. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, first thing, I was just thinking about something you just said. First, I want to say it's important to seek professional help.
Correct.
It's okay to talk to your friends. It's okay to talk to mom. They are going to speak from the perspective of the fact that they love you, and they can only speak on their life experiences. And they hadn't gone to school and been trained, you know, in this field of mental health, psychology, social work. They hadn't had that experience. So that's why I say seek professional help. Those people are good assets and good, reliable supports when you're having, you know, struggle, but seek the professional help. But a lot of times, like we were talking about earlier, there's a lack of access to counseling and therapy in our communities. And so, or it seems like it's far and it is, or it's not accessible to us. Oh, it's going to be so expensive. And then a lot of the county mental health agencies are full. They, you know, and may not be able to give as much attention to detail as needed. But if you have a relative or someone that's struggling with depression, you know that they're considering suicide, send them to a professional. The first thing that usually a professional does is a suicide risk assessment. And that's just to see how likely is this person to commit suicide. Do they have a plan? Does the family have a safety plan? Have you locked up your guns and knives? You want to take those extra precautions when you know that you have a child or you have an adult or you yourself are struggling with that. And so a professional is going to know to go through those steps to help you. But people who are depressed or considering suicide may not feel comfortable reaching out to someone. But if they've talked to you about it, you reach out to someone for them.
Right, exactly. And that's why I said, you know, you're going to let someone know.
Yes.
A trusted person that you know will help you seek help.
Yes.
You know, what are some of the signs maybe that we may notice with our loved ones? Could you think of a few?
Yeah, definitely. First, we were just talking about depression. You want to look at the signs of depression. And of course, you know, as professionals, we use the DSM-5 TR at this point to diagnose depression and things of that nature. But if you're just a regular individual and your child's in the home or your husband or wife are in the home and they're struggling with depression, you want to look for things like if you know they enjoy playing golf and they hadn't gone in a month when they usually would go 2 to 3 times a week.
Right.
If they're talking about sadness, if you notice that they're overeating or undereating. Right. If they're crying. Right. If they're talking to you about feelings of hopelessness. Right. Saying things like, oh, you know, this just doesn't look promising. I'm just so sad. I wonder how would life be without me? Like that kind of talk. You do want to make sure that you're checking in with them. Hey, you know, are you saying that you're depressed? Do we need to go see someone? Right. And really just take that time to see what's going on. Right. So you want to look for different signs like that. Gotcha. Just a few. There are quite a few, but you know.
And don't try to diagnose them.
Please
don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, you're gonna mess up something.
Yeah, because I mean, you're gonna break that trust. You know. So you definitely don't want to do that. But you want to try to talk to them and let them know that, hey, we need to go seek counsel. We need to go seek help. This is bigger than us.
Yeah. And you want to take them serious anytime. You know, I see a lot of times that parents may not take it serious when their children are saying, I want to kill myself, I'm just so mad. Right. If they want the attention, that's on them. But you take it serious every time they talk about it, because you never know when that time may be that they may be actually serious.
Right. So what are some coping mechanisms for a person that may be dealing with, you know, any type of issues? What are some coping mechanisms that one may use?
Well, so I do believe in workout. The gym is a good stress reliever. When you're exercising, your body's releasing endorphins, which are the feel-good hormones. Right. Now, I won't say that they are to replace therapy. Right. Gym is not therapy, not to be confused. If you need to see a therapist, see a therapist. Right. But just one of the coping strategies that can be used would be exercise. Right. You come here, you work out, you sweat, you release those feel-good hormones, you go home, you shower, you sleep well. Right. And it helps your overall physical well-being. Right. And so that's one of the coping strategies that you can use. Some people like to read. Some people like to write, journal. Some people listen to music, watch TV, right. Golfing, you know, sports, whatever it may be. Did I say journaling? I know that's true. Journaling helps with reflecting a lot. So if you're a person that kind of struggles with processing what's going on, sometimes to see it on paper helps, you know, quite a bit. But whatever, a coping skill can be anything that you enjoy doing, anything that brings you peace. If it's solitary, mothers, if you sit in the driveway in your car for 10 minutes before you go in the house, before you get in the house and the kids and everybody wants something, you know.
It works for dads too.
I know, I'm being a little biased.
Look. Sometimes you just got to pull up in the yard. Don't pop the garage just yet.
Right.
debrief.
Yes.
Don't take that stuff in the house. I'm
Exactly.
Don't take that stuff in the house.
Yes.
That's both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Both ways. Because whatever you're dealing with on the outside has nothing to do with bringing it. Leave work at work,
mm-hmm.
and leave home at home. And I know it's hard. A lot of times they commingle,
mm-hmm.
but at least come in the house and be yourself, be you without the issues.
Present.
Yeah,
right.
Be present. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Be present, and then you have that time to say what it is that happened at work or happened whatever,
mm-hmm.
But be present first. Be able to be there for your loved one.
Yes, I say all the time as a therapist. Sometimes I get home and I don't want to talk to anybody. Then I think about it. It's not, and I know for you with teaching, it's like I have stood up in front of kids all day,
and coaching.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, our kids, gosh, mighty.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids, it's war on our kids, man. And people say it all the time that the kids are changing. No, the kids are not changing. Our expectations as adults
mm-hmm.
have changed. We're allowing them to get away with more. We're saying we don't want them to have things or life as hard as it was for us.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, it didn't kill us.
Mm-hmm.
It made us who we are. It made us better.
Yeah.
We have to do a better job with our kids, man. And, I'm not calling anybody out, but you know who you are. We just have to do, because it's war on our kids. I mean, anytime a child thinks that they have to express themselves through violence and not use their words,
mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a problem. There's a disconnect, and we have to do a better job, teaching those kids those coping skills,
mm-hmm.
how to breathe, how to take time away,
mm-hmm.
how to come back and say, this made me feel like this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Instead of want to fight, want to pick up a gun,
mm-hmm.
you're talking about a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you only get one life to live. It's
mm-hmm.
over with after that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just speaking strictly from a coaching and teacher aspect, man. It's crazy, and I hate to even use that word, but it's, you wouldn't believe the stories, the tales that you hear day in and day out,
yeah.
the phone calls that you get about this person or that person,
Yeah, because kids, and I think about sort of like growing up, my parents considered everything back talk.
Yeah.
And so what I've learned as an adult, and my parents can see it now that I'm older, but what I've learned as an adult is that it's okay for your children to give you feedback or to talk about how something makes them feel. Because when you respectfully.
Right.
But when you teach them to shut up, I'm talking, in essence, what that's saying is you don't have a right to feel any kind of way. But they become adults who struggle with communication, expressing themselves to others. And so, like you said, respectfully, okay, when mama get through talking, when daddy get through talking, then you're able to tell me what's going on with you or how that made you feel. It's important for kids to be able to feel anger, to know what that feels like, but to also know how to handle it. So when I'm angry, what do I do? Even as adults, we have to do that. We can't go on our jobs and slap everybody because they made us mad. We can't do that. We have to. I know, right? Right.
Yeah, he's still working with me. Still working with me. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
we
ain't
can't.
been a teacher all my life.
Right. But and I like to tell kids all the time, if Miss Shane slapped everybody that made her mad, then we would have a problem. I would be sitting in somebody's jail. So as an adult, I've had to learn how to use coping skills, but I think the best time to start is when they're really young. Allowing them to talk to you, if they're doing it respectfully, allowing them to express themselves, and to let them know it's okay if you're mad. If you need to go to your room and calm down, it's okay.
Don't slam my damn door.
Yeah, take that door off the hinge if you slam that door.
Don't do that.
But like you said, teaching them breathing techniques, teaching them to sit with the feeling. Like if you just sit, just feel that anger. It's okay. We, as adults, we had many days we was angry with our parents, but it means we wasn't gonna say that back.
Right.
What did they teach us to do though? Bottle up those emotions, you know?
But look, I you know what? I know it's somebody out there like, man, they ain't doing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I know it's somebody out there that's saying that only works for whoever. You know, these techniques that we talking about right here now. Breathe. I want to teach my kid how to breathe, how to embody this anger. You know what I'm saying? That just sounds, it's so cliche. It's not for us. Mm-hmm. That ain't what we do. Yeah. But what's the alternative if you don't teach your kid these coping skills? Mm-hmm. What is the alternative? Because now he's gonna pop off at so-and-so. At school. Mm-hmm. Now he's gonna have a referral. Now he or she is labeled as a problem child. Mm-hmm. Every time he says something, oh, that's just what he do. That's just what she do. Mm-hmm. Now, this child he is who you think he is because you've labeled him that. You've not taught him how to use these proper coping skills. So now what do you think is going to happen if this is a trend that's going on in elementary school, middle school, high school? What are we creating? We're creating a monster. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All because that ain't what we do. Mm-hmm. That ain't what we do. Now you don't want nobody to talk to him. You don't want nobody to talk to her. Yeah. And we can't talk to you. Can't even talk to him. Mm-hmm. You know how many parents that came to a schoolhouse that I've worked at, not the one I'm at now. Yeah. But and I can't do nothing with them. Right. What you mean you can't do nothing with your child? What do you mean? Where is the disconnect at? Where did this generation come from to where I can't say anything to my child? He won't listen to me. She won't listen to me.
And it starts really young with teaching them what emotions, what feelings are, how to handle them, and then also recognizing that, you know, mental health diagnosis that may run through your family.
Right.
And being honest enough to say that, well, yeah, you know, I don't really like that label ADHD, but let me go see why my child is struggling in school.
Right.
Do I need to take them to a professional? And it's not about your pride when it comes to your child. Do what needs to be. And it's not about pride when it comes to yourself either.
Right.
If you're struggling, then you need to go see the professional. Right. And if that professional feels like medication would help, you owe it to yourself to give that a shot. Right. You owe it to your child to give that a shot. Now, I'm not one of those people that's like medicate, you know, but I am an advocate for therapy and for medication if that is what's needed for you or your child.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and I feel the same way, you know. Mm-hmm. You have to do what's best for you and your family, you know, at the end of the day. It may not be what you want to do, but it may be what you need to do to live a more proactive and healthy life. Yes. And man, I think we got
some of these children outside too.
Yeah, they need to be outside. They need to be active. They really do.
Yes.
I mean, get them outside and get some sunshine. Mm-hmm. I mean, they won't sit up and play games all day long.
Yes.
I mean, our childhood obesity is through the roof.
Yes.
You know, what's wrong with going outside and going on a family walk?
Yes.
At least something. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, Grandma used to set a gallon jug of water on the porch. You hear me?
And write everybody's name on the cup. It's your cup for the whole day.
Listen,
and you would just be outside.
A cup. Mm-hmm. Everybody waterfall. Don't put your lips on. Don't put your waterfall.
Hilarious.
Man, it's just.
My grandma gave us cups, but we had to write our name on it.
What cups? Grandma wasn't finna wash all them cups. No plastic cups, no paper cups.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You know, and then if it got, real bad, but go out there and get you some water out that well.
Oh, real country.
Oh, I'm real country. For real. Believe that.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, I definitely think, being a part of the fitness family, along with other things.
Right. I know one of the things that I do, and it's one of the topics I wanted to speak on, and I know we're running out of time here, but we talk about coping mechanisms. We're so quick to want to strengthen our body, but we don't strengthen our mind. You know, one of the things, like you said, writing, journaling, you know, but one of the things that I like to do, I like to listen to motivational speakers. First thing in the morning. I love that.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I'm listening, I'm hearing, you know, it may even be a pastor, someone preaching the word, you know. I listen to those things for encouragement. So, you know.
And that falls into the category of positive affirmations and, you know, the self-help and those things, and the, you know, reciting positive mantras. That definitely, because when you can hear positivity and think positive, you know, thoughts, then that's what comes out. You know? And so, you know, they say in church all the time, whatever you put in comes out.
Right.
So,
and that's the word. So as a man thinketh, so is he. So if I, so look, I think I'm great. I think I'm great. And you look here, I think our gym is great. The hottest gym in the city, baby. I mean, I believe that. And I'm gonna speak. Yeah, psychotherapist.
And then come see us after.
Yeah, come see us afterwards. But you know, again, I don't want to make these topics about the gym, because I think there's some information that our community needs to hear about. And I'm so serious about that. I want to put information out there that we can use and, you know, hopefully grow from. If we don't enlighten but one person, we did our job. So,
and even if you can't get to the private therapists that, you know, charge per hour, reach out to your community health centers, mental health centers, and see, you know, what they make. It's accessible to you. It may not look like it, but it's accessible to you. So. Right.
So, man, look, we thank you for your time today. I appreciate you coming out and speaking with us. And again, we're gonna give you news you can use. Gladiator Vibes TV.